Thanks for joining me today on Concrete and Coffee. I'm your host today, Cliff Saunders with Glue Down, and glad to have you on here. This is our first show, so you to be on point, no pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, and I'm just enjoying myself. I like really fancy coffee. It's a raspberry tort mocha coffee.
Sounds really very fancy for sure.
It is fancy.
I'm just a sugar-free rock star guy. I'm not a coffee drinker, so
it's all good. You want though, when they make a drink after you, that's all good, man.
Yeah.
If this was after me, it'd be saying something probably not very good. Well, anyways, man, I'm glad you're on here. You guys have been super active lately, all across the greater Utah area. I'm seeing your jobs left and right, whether it's commercial with the parking garages, the tilt up. You expressed to me all the residential stuff you guys are doing up north. I mean, that's a lot of stuff, man. So you have all these things going on with Frontline. How did that all start from, like kind of the roots of it to where it evolved today?
Well, the way Frontline started out, George Evans started Frontline back 2005, doing just residential concrete, just residential flat work. Him and I met in 2009, 2010. I moved up to Utah from Las Vegas and was starting my own company, Full Tilt Concrete. And George, we did the structural stuff. So we did the footing foundation stuff. And then George helped us with our flat work. And things kind of, we worked, George and I got along really well. And we worked really well together. And we just decided, to try and make things grow the way the economy was booming and stuff up here. We morphed everything together, and I joined Frontline Concrete, and we've grown really well. We've got some really good trade partners that we work with, and it's helped a ton. So the GCs and stuff that we work for now have really been essential to our growth, and our employees as well.
Yeah, man, you guys got like a pretty tight-knit crew. I've only met Darren a couple of times, man, but he's, again, another rock star. He's a cool guy, man. Like, he helped me out getting some bond breaker for my test slab and stuff that I'm experimenting with. And just him out there, his hands were full. He had, like, guys running around left and right to get the pour done, and then there I am, just some sales guy, hey, I need to get some bond breaker off you, and he accommodated me. It was pretty cool, and he had no idea I was even rolling out there, so that was pretty cool of him. Is he like one of your like top guys? I mean, I'm sure you have a bunch, not to take away from them.
Yeah, for us, it's hard to pinpoint and say we have a top guy, because we have several crews they're all rock stars. They all excel at tilt up, at structural concrete, from our flat work finishers to our carpenters to our tilt up foremen, structural foremen. It's hard to say that we got one guy that's hands down the best guy, because that wouldn't be fair to all the rest of them. All our guys work really hard. And we've been fortunate to have guys that have stuck with us for a long time. I mean, I've got one of our foremen, a couple of our foremen, Darren being one of them, that followed up here from Las Vegas. I've got a couple of guys that have worked with me for 21 years. So feel really fortunate that they've trusted me to stick with me and stick with Frontline as long as they have, for sure. That's
cool, man. The whole Vegas scene, do you ever miss the Vegas end of it? Like buildings out there? Because different than what's going on up here, right?
Yeah. I mean, Vegas was, the turnover was a lot more there with employees. I worked for my dad in Vegas for 21 years. And we traveled.
Was that Full Tilt also?
No, JD Construction was my dad's company. So, I mean, that's where I learned everything that I know now, is working for my dad and him give me enough of a leash to hang myself and figure stuff out on my own. But he taught me a lot, and we poured a lot of concrete. When I worked for him, we poured a lot of concrete. So,
gotta love those dad moments.
Great experience for sure.
Oh yeah, man. I think about like but like my background like came from like framing and building parking garages for Leighton and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think about like the stuff that my dad taught me, and then like the butt whippings I got for like when I didn't do it the way he told me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's just interesting, like when you learn it from your dad, and then as you grow older into that position that he was in, the twists and stuff you kind of put on. You took what he gave you, you learned it, and then you put your own little groove on it. That's always interesting.
No, that definitely get a little. The message comes differently from me than I got it from him. That's for sure.
I bet, man. So
Yeah.
he's still very, very much involved with Frontline, though. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So he's a superintendent for us in the field. So he's actually running one of our larger jobs right now, which is Exeter. So
That was the one you were saying you guys just got rocking and rolling on, right?
Yeah, we just started footings on that job last week, and we're looking to pour floor next week, and it's 1.5 million square feet, 2 buildings.
Nice, man. That's
so
sweet.
We'll definitely be using some glue down on that one.
Oh, I bet. So that's the job. Is that one out west, kind of out there at the lake park or whatever?
So that's off I-80 and 5600 West, just on the north side of RC Willey warehouse right there.
Gotcha. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So again, another one kind of out west there toward Magna and stuff. So for you guys who don't know, we had an earthquake 2 or 3 weeks ago, like a 5.6, 5.7. Wasn't major, but it was close enough that it could have been a big deal. And when I went by one of your buildings, you guys just stood up. Luckily, thankfully, all your guys' stuff stayed up. I know some other people that had problems. Did you guys end up seeing anything that had to be repaired as far as like either like bracing or hardware or panels themselves?
We were really fortunate. When the earthquake happened, Darren and his guys on that project were actually in the middle of their pre-lift safety meeting. So, I mean, if it would have been 10 minutes later, we would have had a panel in the air, and who knows what would have happened at that point. But as far as our panels themselves, there's a couple panels on the building that overlap each other. And we had one brace actually pull out of the face of the panel.
Wow.
But because it overlapped the panel in front of it, we didn't lose any panels. We had some panels where they slid a couple inches off shim packs.
Okay.
But we did not. We were fortunate. We didn't have any major damage to anything. We didn't have any panels we had to pull down. We had to fix a couple braces, realign some panels on shims, and it made us change some processes, within the company on how when we set panels, how we leave them, just in case of an event like that ever happening again.
Well, that's awesome that you guys got like a good learning experience and kind of changed protocol on some of that, like you said, the practices. Do you think your stuff managed as well as it did by luck? Do you think it was an engineering just because the engineering on that building was particularly good, or hardware or anything? Do you think that attributed to any of it?
I think it's probably a combination. We had 52-foot tall panels, but we had big openings in them. So, I mean, it's still big panels, but not a lot of mass in them. The bracing we're using is from SureBuilt, and they're monster braces. They're 8-inch diameter pipe braces. So, I think that helped a little bit. And then this building being a 3-story tilt up, everything's braced to the outside for the majority of it, and it's braced to helical piers. And I think that combination, allowed things to maybe move a little more and not be so rigid to where, things, they just kind of moved around with the earthquake, and we didn't have the shear or the force that broke some of the other, that broke on some of the other projects, where those guys had failures, our stuff maybe moved around a little more, and we didn't have the failures.
Well, I think it's interesting that you mentioned the SureBuilt stuff because, my job, I'm on everyone's job site, just chatting it up, getting to learn more. And I've asked other contractors a variety, and I'm like, well, I see you got brand A on here. How come you've tried SureBuilt before? Why not in this one? And it's interesting because the number one thing I've heard was, oh, they over-engineer everything. And then in this particular case, it's like, yeah, I'm glad we went that route.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and like you said, it was probably a combination of everything, but like that was the first thing that popped up in my head when you said that, and so that's good to hear that no one got hurt, and the timing, I'm with you, because so many guys were in the same process.
Oh yeah.
That safety meeting right then and there. 10 minutes later, they would have been on that slab. So
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, I think we always complain about the over engineering of stuff until like something like this happens. And then we're just like, all right, I see where you're coming from, and we won't complain about it until next time.
I know, right? Yeah, until you just get tired of lifting more stuff. But yeah, I bet, man, that's awesome. Well, since you guys do the tilt up, and you do, I've always known you guys up until this last year or two doing parking garages. You guys, are you guys still focusing and doing quite a bit of those? And was it harder to get into the parking garages, like in the market out here, versus the tilt up, or even the flat work with George's stuff on the residential end? Has one been more of a challenge to kind of get into versus the other?
So the residential side was kind of the staple of Frontline Concrete. So the flat work on the residential side, George George has that built up and stapled down pretty good. So we actually have quite a few people that are asking us to do more flat work, and it's just to find the quality. We don't want to substitute quality for getting more production, So we want our guys to still give a good product, and we're not going to sacrifice that just to do more homes. So the housing side's pretty well stapled down. The tilt up market in Utah was tough to get into. I think that was harder than the structural market. A
lot of big fish in a small bowl.
Yeah, and it's really competitive. The pricing was really competitive, and for a while nobody knew Frontline Concrete as a tilt up contractor. I tried the experience that I brought with Frontline, because I've been doing tilt up since 1996. So it just took a while, and we finally got one project with Stout, and Stout has been a great partner in doing tilt work. We've done several projects with them, 3-story, 4-story tilt ups. And so it's been, once we got that first one under our belt, it's been really good.
That's awesome, man. So as you know, with everyone shelter in place and all that stuff going on in the restaurant industry, kind of going in the toilet at the moment, it's probably coming out of all this. There's probably be a lot of people maybe trying a different career path. And if some of these people are trying to get into the construction industry, is there a piece of advice that they want to look into getting into concrete related specifically? Like, is there a certain, obviously we like it when someone actually shows up, but aside from actually showing up, is there like a key thing that you think, man, when there's an individual that does that or a certain trait, is there something like that you guys look for when it comes to new hires and people getting into it?
Somebody that's not afraid to ask questions, somebody that's not afraid to work hard, somebody that's punctual, that helps too. All those things are pretty good attributes to have, and that's stuff we look for with guys. And it's funny because going into winter, there was a lot of guys that quit. Oh, I'm going to go back to the restaurant because they don't want to work outdoors in the wintertime and deal with the cold and snow. So we've actually had a few calls of guys wanting to come back. So yeah, it goes full circle.
Yeah, it just happened to be, right when things were starting to warm up here pretty nice. So, and especially right before it gets too hot, you can kind of ease into the heat. So
yeah, definitely.
Way nice, man. Well, so I've been on your Facebook and doing some research. I've already known you quite a bit on and off for the last couple of years, and the last, year here, been harassing you a little more on your job sites and stuff. But I've always had a notion that you've kind of been into off-road racing, and I'm a big off-road guy myself, like expeditions, rock crawling. I love it all. And I saw on there that you have the Live Fast, Play Dirty Motorsports. What's the story behind that?
So when I was a kid, my dad raced off-road. So he raced in the desert. And then he he also raced some short course stuff. So in Colorado, where I grew up, there were some small short course races, stuff like that. They were local. And then he would go race, in California, Nevada desert, like the Mint and some of the longer desert races. And 2005, Core started to come back, short course off road racing.
Yeah.
And he had an itch to go back racing again. JD Construction was doing well, so he wanted to race again. So he built a truck. I helped work on it with him, and so that was the start of Live Fast, Play Dirty Motorsports. In 2006, I really got the itch and rented a Pro Light truck and started racing Pro Light. Huh?
Did you say you rented it?
Yeah, we were. So there was a race in Texas, and we rented the truck for the weekend and raced it that weekend. And then the last race of the season was in Las Vegas, and we prepped it and raced it in Las Vegas. And then after that, we built the truck in the off season.
Okay, so just to clarify, you rented a race truck. You didn't go down like to your local like Enterprise and be like, yeah, just give me a Tacoma, and then go destroy it, right?
No, so there was a guy at the track. It was the Vanden Heuvel's. Their family raced short course as well, and they were trying to sell the truck. So sell it or rent it for the race. So we made a deal with them and we rented it for the weekend and raced it, and that was it. It was the start of it.
That's cool. So are you guys still doing that?
No, we haven't. I haven't raced the truck for probably 6 years.
Okay.
This last summer, Dad. So it was a 50th anniversary in Crandon, Wisconsin,
Wow.
and we went back this summer and we went and Dad raced a Pro 4, and it was
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I've always wanted to get into that. In fact, like one of my like bucket lists is, to build me, long travel two-wheel drive and either, try to like go for like the Mint or just to finish the race. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily go out there and compete. It's just finish the race, say I did it. That's always been a big goal of mine. So that's cool that you guys have been out there living the dream doing that. And that's a father-son thing. I bet that's at times too, when the adrenaline's going, you guys have kind of butted heads on certain scenarios, just like work too. I'm sure it's come up.
Oh yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. My dad's been my best friend for a long time. So we had a lot of fun doing it. We were always competitive doing it, and we pushed each other doing it. So it was awesome. It was a great experience. And my stepmom, Christy, she ran the whole race team. She was the one that like got everything where it was supposed to be.
So that was the Hefe.
Yeah. She was the one that cracked the whip on all of us. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So that's cool, man. You guys have been doing so much, and then you got all this racing stuff. You're super busy doing stuff. I've seen all your projects lately, like just popping up left and right. Are you having time to like go out and like check out other events, like concrete events? Like we saw did you go to World of Concrete this recent year?
Yeah, we were down there for the full week. Yeah.
And we saw you at the TCA event in the fall. And as you know, Glue Down, we're at every event we could possibly be at, whether it be in person or booth. But there's the one this year is going to be in Missouri. Are you guys planning on attending that if things die down with the virus and stuff and that continues?
Yeah, definitely. I think the TCA events are great. Meeting new people. The TCA does a great job of getting people together and highlighting new products and getting people to interact and stuff is great. So we'll definitely be there.
Right on, man. That's good to hear. Well, I'm about to wrap it up. I just wanted to like put like the spotlight capper on Frontline. You could put it like in like one sentence. What sets Frontline concrete ahead or in a different spotlight than others? What puts you guys in a different position to do what you guys do?
You know what? I think that we're not going to accept anything but the best as far from our guys and the work we're doing, and we're gonna make every schedule that's in our projects or beat them, and we're going to take care of our customers no matter what it takes.
Yeah, I believe that, man. Cruising by some of your jobs and stuff, garages and tilt up. I'm sure George does the same thing on the flat work. So,
Yep.
well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on today. I'm glad I got to hear more about the earthquake situation because I didn't get to ask you guys earlier on that. So that's good to find out. And I really appreciate you coming on here and give us some insight on what you guys do.
No, I appreciate it, Cliff, and thanks for all you do with Glue Down and the products you guys supply for us. It makes our guys' job a lot easier for sure. On
That's
our
right. We
technical
appreciate
side.
you guys using our stuff, man. That's for a long time too, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
all right, man. Well, you have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you around.
Sounds good. Thanks, Cliff.
Thank you.